How you doing? Damien here. Today we're going to be covering No Artpunk. This is a set of adventures that were part of a competition. You can pick it up for free. There's a link below. But it's really good. The adventures in here, for me, vary from above average, which is good, to really good. But it's a little bit different to some of the stuff I've covered. So let me get stuck in. So the competition was a little bit odd in a way. The rules for the competition were you could only make modules using the ancient ways, monsters, spells and items from the books only. You were only allowed to add one item that you created yourself, one creature and one spell. That was it. And it says here, let the true D&D, the D&D of our fathers and our fathers' fathers reign supreme and everlasting. I'll be honest, that's not my vibe. But there is something very cool when you restrict people's options that forces creativity. And I imagine there was probably a lot of crap that ended up being put in here, but the ones, these floated to the top, so they're pretty good. I'm going to cover the City of Bats, which is probably my favorite one, but there is 8 adventures in here, and again, as I say, it's free, and you will find stuff in here you like. So it does an intro. It's a great intro. I'm not going to read it in depth because nobody needs that, but I'll give you an idea. It's the sort of thing that you only need to read once for the GM to fully understand what's going on. But in an age-long past, the cult bat god of Camas reigned supreme over the land. Basically, they were evil dudes or evil cult, but the hero twins Hanabuki, I'm not doing that, led a brave but futile revolt against the butchery of the Bat cult. They were punished and mummified and sealed forever in the necropolis. Later, as the twin sons of Hunabaki would enter the city under cover darkness and seek revenge. They opened the gates, they let people in, they end up killing everybody, but seldom do the forgotten place of the world stay forever. So you have this kind of City of Bats from this old Bat cult that was killed and destroyed, and that's the base of the adventure. It's made for Labyrinth Lord, which again, it means it uses all of the models or all of the things from Labyrinth Lord, but again, it's super easy to convert for anything you want, and can be placed at any remote location where there is an escarpment or a cave system might be found. Has a decent enough rumor table. Let me jump in here. Okay, so there's a path there. There's a path that you have to go through, and as you're going there, the chances are you're going to have pack animals with you because this is an old school adventure. Each pack animal or mount that attempts to ascend has a 1 in 20 chance of losing its footing and plunging over the side to certain death. Make sure to make a separate roll for each of them. You're starting off this adventure with this sense of this is dangerous. It's not easy to get to. As you go up, if a careful search is performed, the path's rough steps hewn from limestone, hewn from the cave's limestone walls can be found. So again, this is not you roll, you see, it's there. If people take the time to search for stuff, they will find it, which again, for me, is the way it should be. Encounters at the caves, I think that's kind of poor table, but the stats directly below is very useful. You don't have to turn to anybody. I think that's a letdown there, especially for the quality of the adventure itself. So I'll give you an idea of some of the things I like about this. This is old school feeling, but here is a location, the Cave of Locusts. It's a tiny little piece of text. A group of 12 subterranean locusts lair here. They're agitated by bright light and will swarm and attack any character carrying a light source. Locusts have no more treasure. It gives you everything you need about them. It's very, very simple, but it would be super easy to, and that's probably not a great example that I've highlighted there, but it gives you everything you need to run that tiny little room and know exactly how they're going to behave for it. This is probably a better one here, which is the Mossy Cave. The floors and the walls are covered by a carpet of dimly bioluminescent green moss. Water enters through a crack in the caves and collects in shallow pools, making the floor very slippery. Any character attempting to move more than half his normal speed has a 2 in 6 chance of falling over and suffering 2 points or 1d2 of damage. A mated pair of subterranean lizards lair in the alcove. The female has recently had a clutch of eggs, so the lizard will be very territorial and attack intruders. If the party is surprised by one of the lizards, will climb along the ceiling and drop down behind them. Cave entrance. So Again, you've got eggs there that are worth stuff that they can sell. But I also like the fact that they've taken something that's very, very plain, like a plain lizard, and they've made it a lot more interesting. They've also said it's very easy for your players to think that to confuse these in the dim light for basilisks, which I think is super cool. And if you're describing it in such a way, then having your players be wary about this, they're going to approach it entirely different. So again, it's taking plain stuff but making it very, very usable. This one's probably a better example. There are 5 lizards that stand guard at this cave. When first encountered, they will be roasting skewered cave locusts on a small fire and gambling for jade beads. Super cool context, gives you something that actually makes the world feel real. The cavern is illuminated by yellowish light cast by giant fireflies in reed cages. Again, just little details that make the world feel a little bit better. The tribe's warriors are clad in crude hides and smeared with black war paint. War paint, not wall paint. They will swarm out of the holes and attempt to encircle any party, bearing their fans and hitting their weapons on the stone. They're not necessarily actually aggressive. They're deeply suspicious and not immediately hostile. So depending on how your players are and how they react, they might actually get some help here. If a battle occurs, the Lizardmen will not rush to engage, but will instead harass the party with missiles and lure them further into caverns where they can cut off a line of retreat. After the first 2 rounds of combat, 2 Lizardmen on mounted tamed giant scorpions will enter the fray, one emerging from each side. So it gives you a complete battle plan of how this will potentially happen if they attack, how they're going to respond, what's going to happen, which again is really, really cool if you're just picking up something and wanting to run it. So the Sanctum of the Lord Lizard. Mineral deposits in the walls of the cave shimmer with a malevolent purple hue. Looming menacingly is a 9-foot tall idol of a lizard man carved from greenstone. The idol bears crossed bronze scepters before it. If you go in, this statue is going to say, "Who dares defile the sanctum of the lizard lord? Begone, puny man-things, before I devour you." This idol is a mimic. The mimic was there beforehand. It can speak both Lizardman's language and human language. And when it got there and the Lizardmen appeared, it just went, this is something I can make use of. And it convinced them that it was a god and makes them feed it. Really, really cool. Mimic, interesting in a way. This is far more interesting. It's a mimic with a personality and an agenda, which is super cool. And it does this again and again using these standard monsters, just making them more interesting. So you go into the City of Bats there. There is I'm just going to, again, it's a big adventure. So there's a grotto there, the Grotto of Silver Mist. I'm going to cover this entire one, which will give you an idea of the kind of like the quality of the adventure. This grotto is wreathed in a cloud of cool silvery mist. There's a pool of clear water fed by a waterfall filled with kelp and small tropical fish. Lounging in the pool is a woman with skin that is white, pale with pale as marble and hair like gold, or as gold as the sun. She wears a silken shawl but nothing else. The grotto is the pool of basically an evil Nereid. It's a discipline of the bat, or a disciple of the bat god, and was once worshipped as a minor goddess due to her beauty. This thing is clever. It's going to try and manipulate the party, which is really nice. She will feed them, whatever lies or half-truth that will most likely win her sympathy. What she desires is the crown of bats, as it would allow her to leave a pool. So she's kind of stuck to the pool. If threatening violence, she will call a giant octopus from the depths of a pool to come to her defense. It's cool, man. It's a Nereid with personality, and it is. I can see these simple encounters gaining so much at the table when people start to interact with them. The idea of having like a pet giant octopus that's going to come up as well is really great. She has the details on her is really great. The how to use her is really great. The octopus and how it fights is really great. It is just a really, really solid adventure that would be a lot of fun and well worth reading, especially for the whole price of free. So again, all of these rooms, could it be laid out a little bit better? Yeah, of course it could. But if you printed this out and you had a highlighter, you'd read through it once and you wouldn't have to touch it again, and just go through it, and you'd be able to run it and have a ball with this at the table. As you can see, it is a big adventure. there are sort of, like, if we look here at inside the pyramid's chamber is 30 foot by 30 foot by 20 foot. It's an upside down trick chamber. So basically the walls are painted to look like it's upside down. The furniture is upside down, but it's not an upside down table. So it's going to mess with your player's head, which again, I like. There's a black granite throne hanging down from the ceiling. They're going to be sitting there figuring out how the hell can I get to it, which is cool. Lurking by the chamber is Hunubaki, which is one of the twins that was led the revolt. He's now a mummy, he's bandaged, and he has a swarm of flesh-eating beetles all over his skin. He has a measure of intelligence, but is quite mad. Speaks with a voice that sounds like something dribbling out the bottom of a coffin. His beetles are growing hungry and he wishes to feed them. Several treasures are near his throne, which again is stuck on the ceiling. Somehow the players have got to figure out how to get there. There's a jeweled chest carved of tropical wood filled with heavy lead bars. The chest is worth 1,000 gold pieces intact, but when touched it will plummet to the floor and smash to bits. The resulting fragments are worth very little. It's a bit mean. There's an onyx statue. What was the other thing I liked here? Crown of silver bats. So there's a section which will cover the crown of silver bats. The flesh-eating beetles swarm. They deal 2 points of damage. Save blah blah blah. The swarm automatically inflicts 2 points of damage on all creatures it engulfs. Clinging instincts will continue to inflict damage for three rounds after exiting the swarm. Immune to weapons. Attacking with lit torches will do 1d4 damage. If a character does nothing but ward off, he'll only take 1 damage that round. This is a beast. This is a monster that's going to just mess with your players. They can't hit it with loads of stuff. They're going to have to fight it to try and reduce damage. It is a bitch of a kind of monster to go against them when it's powered with the mummy. Where again the mummy, it basically can inflict characters with mummy rot, but as a pair of these, this would be really, really challenging and have to take some pretty smart thinking from players just to kind of get around it. And again, I keep going back to this. It seems like this is something that you need to polish up, but it isn't. This is something that has all of the underpinnings of something that would be great at the table. And I would 100% run it. I love the fact that the maps are, let me see if I can switch this so we can get both maps next to each other. View mode, facing pages. Yeah, the maps I really, really like. Loads and loads of loops around them, which is really cool. I love the fact that they're hand-drawn. It's just an old school, cool adventure which takes basic stuff, and there's a lot you could learn from this adventure. So you can pick this up and all the rest of them for the price of nothing on Drive-Thru-RPG. There's a link below. I hope you enjoy it, and let me know your thoughts on it as well. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.